What's the worst first date you've been on? It could be the girl's fault. It could be your fault.
No, it was, so I wouldn't say this is the worst date. This is probably the funniest dating experience because this goes over 2 dates. There was this girl who was like a fucking California 10 who I matched with on Bumble. This was like 10 years ago or whatever. Like it was a while ago. It was when I got out of my relationship with the girl who tried to poison me with crab legs. That's a whole.
That's a whole.
We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other can of worms or crab legs. What it was no. So like this girl, like she was way too hot. It was one of those where you're just swiping. And you're like, fuck it, I'm not gonna match with this thing, and you're like, this is a fake account. Fucking, I get hit up. It was like it seemed like a message sent by like a real person. We were like chatting, and I'm like, why is this fucking 10 to me, dude? Like. Are you missing a leg or something like that? But it's like, nah, you had full body pics. I'm like, she seems real. And she asked if I wanted to go out somewhere. She's like, I like to go out on the east side of Milwaukee. And I'm like, well, how do you feel about like Bel Air? I'm like, that's like a fine,
first date.
That's like a fine first date. It's like,
first date. Yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. It's like, it's white people tacos. It's fine or whatever. It's, it's low key or whatever. It's quiet enough that you can talk. This girl shows up and was like super into the fact. No, this could have been 10 years ago. This had to be like less than 8 because this is when I was doing comedy, and I put that in my profile that I was doing comedy and stuff because I've only been doing it 8 years, and so she was asking me a lot about comedy and stuff about like shows and everything like that, and she was like so into it. And I was like, do you want to do comedy? She goes, no, I don't want to do comedy or anything like that. She's like, I just want to do, she's like, I'm just so interested in this. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, I've only been doing like bar shows and stuff like that. And, I got booked on a couple things. I've gotten paid for a couple shows at this point and stuff. And she was so into it. The tacos get there. We had the tacos and everything. We went across the street to Fink's. We had another drink. And then, we kind of just went our separate ways. But like halfway through dinner, she asked me if I wanted to go on a second date. And I was like, yeah, like this girl was like way too, like she's so, I'm like, what did my friends pay this prostitute to like be like I was like fucking Mike Berg and Chris Schmidt and Gary are sitting outside just laughing their asses off. But I'm like, they're all poor. Like how would they pay for this high end escort who clearly fucks basketball players? Like why is this thing like talking to me? I'm still looking at her like she's not a real person. She was so fucking hot. I'm like, what? And I'm like a fat
figment of my imagination.
Dude,
you're eating tacos by yourself at Bel Air talking.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where it's like I burned my hand with the lie. Like it's not like Tyler Durden didn't do it. It was just I made out with myself at Fink's or whatever. No, this girl, she asked me if I wanted to go on another date. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, why would I not? This is awesome. I'm like, what the fuck? Do I have game? Like, do I have... She shows up to the next date and immediately puts down like a manila envelope. And she goes, I was just wondering if you could give my screenplay to your agent.
No way.
I never one time hinted to having an agent or being represented in any way. I never used the word like manager. I was not passed at clubs or anything like that. I'm like, yeah.
You should have done some cast couching. You're going to actually have to work for this. We got to know you have the talent.
I did worse. I brought it to an open mic and we did a fucking table read.
I wish I was there.
Shit, yeah, dude, she did fucking, dude, this shit, we were sitting at the bar and laughing our asses off at this goddamn thing. Like, we didn't do it at the open mic, but we were doing it at the bar. Like, I passed out like 10, I went to fucking Digicopy. I got 10 copies made of this goddamn thing. I was like, what am I mean, yeah, I'll try to help you in the industry all I can. And she was like, oh, that would be so great. And this was just a fucking Twilight ripoff. It was Vampires Forbidden Love.
No.
The only thing that was missing was fucking Portland. Like, it was like, there was nothing in Washington State.
You should have texted her after and been like, hey, it's passed along. They're
no,
talking about
what I did is I took one of the copies that I made and I made sure that like it was like same, like, like same paper and everything. It looked like they were good copies. I just marked it up. I told her, yeah, my agent would love to see it. She loves up and... So I even went feminist card on this one. I'm like, yeah, I have a female agent, and she loves getting female talent and stuff like that. I was like, yeah, because like immediately I'm like, fuck you, lady. Like, that's what you want. But no, like my whole thing was like, let's just see how long I can make this bit go for. Like, we're really just going to...
Did you have that second date or no?
No, the second date was when she gave me the manila envelope. No. Because she wanted to see if I talked to my agent about it, which I clearly didn't have. So I went a week. I messaged her here and there, and I'm like, oh yeah, she's getting around to it. I went through and I just marked this thing up. I made corrections and I put like derivative on some of the things that I like red pen the fuck out of this thing and I sent it back to her. And just like with like a big like I'm sorry this isn't gonna work kind of thing, like with like this isn't what we're looking for. There's a lot of vampire stuff right now out in the media. Like it was just a lot of that kind of shit. Like, I was putting like derivative and stuff on there and like that. And I wrote this thing up, and then I did send her back the original copy. And I was like, I wrote her a handwritten note, and I just said, look, I was like, I don't have a manager. I was like, I feel like what you did was like really shitty. You should have just been upfront that that's what you needed, and I could have been honest and said I don't have any management. She sent me a message back saying, "You're a fucking faggot. Go to hell." I was just like, well,
So I went on the date with this girl. I got her number, texted her. I said, hey, let's go out. Funny enough, we went to Lefts, Drew.
Fuck yeah, dude.
And we went to Lefts. So we started eating, ordered food and shit like that. Not pussy because I don't do that shit. But,
we all know.
But we're sitting there talking, and I just have this feeling that something weird is up. Something like weird. Her energy was weird, or like I was just asking her questions. At one point, she's like, she says this to me. I had to ask her questions, and she was like, "Are you going to ask anything about me?" Or, and I was like, "This is going great." Which I try to ask people questions, but towards the end, she goes like, "So," and this was it. I was like, I knew something, and she goes like, maybe 10 minutes left in the date. She goes, "I just had a question I wanted to know. Like, are you related to Lauren Wine?" And I go, "Yeah, that's my cousin."
And she said, "Oh, so am I."
No. And she goes,
and then you fucked.
And backstory.
And then you ate her pussy because she's not a stranger.
There was trust and blood. And she goes, "You related to Lauren Wine?" And the backstory on that is, Lauren makes a lot of enemies, so I'll say that. And I go, "Yeah, it's my cousin, and we butt heads a lot, So she goes,
"So you're one of the enemies?"
Oh yes. And she goes, "Oh well, I just wanted to know because, well, like so, she kind of." Like took my last boyfriend, and I'm like, that's why we're on this date right now. I was fucking.
I would have been like, pissed. Well, so there's no risk involved in this one.
Yeah,
like, I'm the safest.
She just wanted.
The closer you get to your enemies, the
she just
you
wanted.
are.
She just wanted some fucking tea on Lauren, and then she starts asking me questions. Like, look, as much as I don't get along with her, I'm not gonna give you this information, dude. It's my family. Like, I was actually like, you wasted my money and my time for a question you could have asked me over text.
For sure. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was frustrating. The worst date I ever did was when I went on a date to Subway with a girl in high school.
That sounds terrible already.
Yeah, and I reached
You had
out,
to go pick her up with your BMX bike, your Haro, you pegged her there.
I reached out, I stretched, and then she poked my stomach, and I just ripped a huge fart on accident.
My worst date is not like that bad of a date, but it was just like kind of freaky the whole time. I matched with this girl on Tinder in college with my roommate and my roommate we found out that my roommate was dating her roommate.
That your roommate
was dating her roommate.
The girl you went on a date with roommate.
No, she matched with me because she recognized him in one of my pictures.
So the girl you went on a date with was dating...
No, the girl I went on a date with is roommate's the girl that matched with me. And the girl that matched with me, matched with me because she saw my friend in there.
Okay.
And so she was like, we should go on a double date. And I go, okay, fine. It's around Halloween, so we go over there, and they want to do Halloween-themed gingerbread houses. And so we start making these Halloween-themed gingerbread houses. I wasn't super into this girl. She's pretty cute, though. So I was like, all right, this is going to be fine. And as we're making, the gingerbread house, I realize that I'm doing all the work, and she's not helping at all. She's, only doing help with her, left hand. And I'm like, what's going on? And she basically, she looks me dead in my fucking face. She goes, I had a stroke and the whole right side of my body doesn't work very well. And so she pulls up her hand and it's like this. Oh. And it's stuck like this. And I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. She goes, yeah, high five. And she like high fives me, like trying to play it off, like to be super cool. And I'm like, all right, then we're gonna just be friends. We're gonna make this gingerbread house and we're going the fuck home. And my buddy like did not
discriminate against.
No, dude, her whole body.
Well, if he had to make a whole gingerbread house, how is she going to make it a gingerbread home? I need an interior decorator if I'm doing all that.
You get a high five for that one.
So then my buddy does not realize that I'm super not into this girl at all. So he thinks it's a good time for him and his girl to go and have sex. Well, I'm like stuck with this girl, but half her body does not work.
With a one-handed
girl.
job?
And she goes, so should we go to my room? And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm going to do this for my friend. So I go down there.
I would have slept on the right side of the bed.
We did not sleep. I went to the room with her. And she starts like taking her clothes off, starts taking my clothes off, and I go, no. And so I'm just like, I'm going to eat her out. I'm going to get the fuck out of here. I'm going to give her no.
You're like the anti-Brandon.
Yeah, I'm the anti-Brandon. Like, I know what she wants. I'm just going to give her no and get the fuck out of here.
Did only half her body come?
No, just wait, dude. So as I'm like going down on her, she starts grabbing my hand with her crippled hand. All right, and she grabs my hand, and she's like telling me, she was during the date. I should have prefaced this. She was telling me how like well she can deep throat. And I was like, honey, you don't need that from me, okay? You do not. I got a cute dick at best. And she grabs my hand and puts my entire fist in her mouth and is choking herself with my fist. Like it's going down like to here. So she's going like this. Well, I mean, you're out.
So wait, she had a stroke, but she also can unhinge her jaw like a Clinton?
So she's choking on my fist, and I'm just down there like, please be over. Please be over. And eventually I finish, and she goes, all right, do you want me to do you? And I go, no, it's okay. And I pull on my pants, and I walk out, and I sit outside in the car and wait for my buddy to be done with his date for the whole rest of the night. I got out of there at like 10:30, and he got out at like 11:30.
Was she cute?
How?
Oh yeah, she was cute.
How? I mean, Jack, you're not taking into account the effort it took her to swipe right on you. Like she really wanted you to give her. She really wanted you to Mr. Sacco her, dude. She's like, I like this cute redhead boy. I really like it.
She gotta use her nose, dude.
She had to waste 2 redos on Tinder.
Spent $4.99 on my swipe.
She had to subscribe to premium to get you back, Jack.